Hi everyone, it's Emmis here with a quick video showing an idea that I had to use a homemade stencil for a Valentine's Day card. I'm using some thick acetate, the type that you get on packaging, the type of packaging that you can never get open without a struggle. But these thick punches absolutely nail it. They're so easy to use and they will punch through anything. They'll punch through corrugated card, they'll punch through magnetic sheets, they'll even punch through very thin balsa wood, and it takes very little effort to punch through these really thick materials, which ordinary punches obviously can't deal with. So I've punched a heart shape. I've now got a little acetate heart left over that I can use on another project. And I've got a piece of card 8 by 6 or 20 centimetres by 15 that I've scored down the middle to make a tall, narrow card. And I'm just putting the stencil on that. I didn't even bother to tape it down or anything. I found that I did a couple of practice runs and I found that holding it did the job. I'm using a variety of distress inks simply because they're the inks that I had that had the colours that I particularly wanted in various shades of pink. And I'm starting off with I've forgotten the name of the ink. Never mind. Very, very pale pink ink. I think it's spun sugar. And I'm just stenciling the heart lightly on this first one. Moving the stencil down, I've got a little bit of scrap paper underneath just to protect the paper. And I'm going on now to a slightly darker colour. I'm keeping these top two hearts very, very lightly coloured, and I'm getting deeper as we go down to give a sort of an ombre effect. I'm moving on to Victorian Velvet was the next colour that I had, and you can see that I'm putting a bit more pressure and a bit more depth. I wanted the shapes of the hearts to be visible through so that they look layered. I think the next colour that I used was lipstick pink, I think. And then on to a last heart. So I've actually got 5 little hearts stenciled. Once you've finished stenciling, then all you do is just wipe the stencil with a baby wipe and pop it in your drawer, and it's ready to do heart stencils whenever you want one. When I'd got the inks out, I got my my blending tool and I just very quickly sponged some of the same coloured pink inks onto a piece of scrap paper, and you'll see why I did this later on in the video. I just wanted a little bit of cardstock that was identical in colour to the colours that I'd used on the card itself. So I'll put that aside to dry for a minute. And my next job was just to get a Wink of Stella brush pen, and I went over all the hearts, which took, as you'll be able to see, it took seconds to do. And you can't really see the effect on screen, which is unfortunate. I'll hold it up to the light when I've finished, and you might be able to see a little bit better. But since this is really a one-layer card, this really does add dimension and a little bit of shimmer to the card. Let's see if we can see some of the glimmer. Yeah, you can just about see it. It's a very, very subtle sheen, but it does add a little extra something. Now next, I'm using a Simon Says stamp, sending you Valentine Day hugs. And the Fiskars stamp press that I'm delighted to say is now on sale in the UK. And this is the greatest little tool for stamping. It's got a grid, which means that this is the old version. I'm not sure if the version that's just out in the new product catalogue is exactly the same as this. but there's a very useful grid, which means that you get your stamps straight, and the little sponge feet just give you, pop the stamp on, press down. I usually walk my fingers over the stamp to make sure that it's stamped correctly, and it's pretty much perfect every time. I was so delighted to see that these were on sale, because this is one of my favorite tools of all time, actually. So next I've got a piece of scrap paper, and this time I'm using a little banner stamp, which is by Clearly Besotted, and in the same way using the stamp press onto that to stamp out that little banner. And I'm getting my sentiment and I'm putting it directly onto the banner just to check that it'll fit. And it does fit, so I'm going to use that, and I'm just pressing the stamp press down to lift the stamp up, ink it, and then press it down again. These stamp presses are very reasonably priced as well, and they really are a great stamping aid. So I'll just leave you for a second or two while I cut that little banner out. So I've cut it out and popped some foam pads on, and I'm just, as you can see, sticking it down below the main sentiment. Now I felt the card wasn't special enough the way it was, so I'm taking the inked strip that I made, and I've got the cartridge border punch system, and these are great little cartridges that stack to store, so they don't take anything like the amount of room that normal border punches do, and it just clips into place and you just punch away. For this particular project I'm not actually using the border itself at all. I'm just using the little hearts that are the waste from the border punch, and I'm just dotting those with the Wink of Stella clear glitter to give them a shine, and then I'm just going to coat them with glossy accents, and the glitter, the shimmer is trapped underneath the glossy accents, so I'll set those aside to dry, and then I'll have some little shimmery shiny hearts to finish the card off. So here they are, and I've got some Cosmic Shimmer glue that I've put into one of these very fine nib applicator bottles, and I'm just popping on my little shimmery glossy hearts to add a little bit of something extra to the card. And I also found in my box a box of little red gem hearts, so I'm just going to pop a couple of those. Don't want to overdo it, but I think 2 would look good. Let's have a look. Yes, that's fine. So there we go. A little quick, simple and easy Valentine's Day card made with a homemade stencil done with the Fiskars thick punch. Hope you've enjoyed the little video. Come and see us every day in Facebook. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.